capable or the smartest person that there is in the room, but because you're confident enough to express yourself, to put your hand up and say, I can do this, you're then going to be able to get that opportunity. So it's important that from an early age, we actually start developing our children's confidence so that even as they grow, they'll be able to stand up for themselves. They'll be able to be assertive enough to say their views, to say their opinions, to show up when they actually need to. So, maybe what I would do is to just start by actually defining what
confidence is.
Yeah,
yes.
that's very important. So what is confidence? Confidence is that feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of their value, attributes, or qualities. So you have to appreciate your value, appreciate your qualities, what you're able to do. So if you believe that this is what I am capable of doing, you'll be able to speak confidently about it, and that's how you sell yourself. That's how other people are able to buy into you as a product, because as an individual, you actually are a brand, and how you sell your brand is how you express yourself. So you know that statement that first impressions count. So how you express yourself to others, how you speak about yourself, that will actually tell whether people will be interested in hiring you, will be interested in listening to you more, how you'll be expressing yourself. So I always love to give this cliche example. Just imagine a situation, maybe it's in a primary school setting, and then the teacher asks a question, and then there are all these smart kids who are afraid and fearful, and they won't put their hands up. So they've asked the teacher has asked a question. These smart kids actually know the answer to the question, but because they are too afraid, they don't put their hands up. Then there's this one confident kid who just puts their hand up, says what they're thinking, which may not necessarily be the right answer. But then maybe the teacher will say to them, oh, well tried. Thank you for trying. And then as the teacher goes on, they will probably be making references to what that other, a confident child who actually didn't know the answer said. So as time goes on, maybe the teacher will start actually favoring this child, and should opportunities arise, they're going to give this child an opportunity. They're not necessarily the best, they're not necessarily smart, but they were confident enough to put their hand up. Whereas all these other ones who are actually smart, who knew the answer, but never put their hand up, never said the answer, the teacher would not assume that they know. They would just assume that they don't know. And therefore, they've actually lost opportunity. So even in our adult life, that's how sometimes we lose opportunities, because we're not confident enough to express ourselves. What I've realized is that kids generally, like inherently, they're born with confidence. Like if you were to go to a group of maybe 3 to 5 year olds, ask them who can dance, you probably see every hand going up. They all think they can do. They all think they can do. But then as they grow older, the number of hands that go up start decreasing. So maybe if you go to a grade 3 class, not all of them will put their hands. Some have now learned that they're not able to do certain things. And how do they lose this confidence? They lose the confidence because of the environment that they would have been raised in. A lot of times because of the words that the adults around them say to them, especially parents. You can almost tell even in adulthood that this person was raised in that fear-based discipline model, maybe at the hands of the parents or at the hands of the teachers at their school. So normally such people are always apologetic. Sometimes they apologize for things that they shouldn't apologize for, because they were raised in this harsh environment where a lot of fear was instilled in them. So they're always thinking, oh, maybe I've said the wrong thing, maybe I've done the wrong thing. If somebody calls them for a meeting and say we need to talk, in their minds they're thinking all negative. What have I done wrong? And they're all becoming defensive. And this is because of how they're actually raised. So now they're very insecure. They're not confident. It could be even trying to negotiate a pay rise at work. They actually know they deserve better, but just the thought of going to the management and having a conversation with them actually send shivers down their spine already. And how it was actually maybe the way that they were raised, and that fear then caught them, and now it's in them, and if they don't do anything about it, it's just going to be like that, and they will miss many opportunities in their lives because of that fear in them. So it's important to actually change our approach when we are talking to children, so that they actually appreciate and understand their value. So I'll talk about some of the practical things that adults, parents, teachers can actually do to develop the confidence of children. So the first one here that I've got is positive reinforcement. So what I mean by that is actually catching a child doing the right thing, mentioning it, noticing it, praising it, so that a child will know, oh, okay, so I'm doing good, and then they'll feel good about themselves. But a lot of times we love to catch children doing the wrong thing, and that's the only time we're going to shout and we're going to reprimand them. But all the times that they're doing the right thing, we don't say or do anything about it. You know, I love to give this example where maybe a parent gets a child's school report card, and then in the report card, that child has a chain of A stars, and then there's this one subject where they got a D in, and then the parent will ignore all the A stars and will be like, "Mitsi wakaona D dzinofana ushanda nesimba ukaita zvekutamba so uchafoira." And I've got 9 A stars, and this is just one in that subject. You never complimented me for all the efforts and what I've done right in all these other subjects. So that's what we do a lot of times. A child could be doing everything else right. Maybe they're sport on when it comes to their academics. Maybe they wake up early as you want them to. Just because they do not clean their room, or they haven't cleaned their room that particular day, and then you go to town, you say a lot of hurtful words just because of that. So what then happens is they become programmed to think that they're only capable of negative things, and then they no longer now appreciate the good things that they do. So as a result, you're going to develop or raise a child who's not confident. So it's important to give positive reinforcement. Whenever your child or your student does something that's right, praise it, mention it, mention it in their presence, mention it even in the presence of other people. You know, I remember how I would feel. Sometimes I'll be in my room and then mom is talking to a friend. She'd be like, mwana wangu atokura akutogona kuchairira room yake akuteta say, and I'm there and I'm listening. You know, I'll be feeling so good about myself, and I feel like I just need to maybe do more.
Yes, and as a child, you want to try, you know, to keep them in that same wave. And get this good, Mangwana, she will praise me again. So I want to keep doing good, and you keep pushing towards that.
Yeah. So those praises mean a lot in terms of developing a child's confidence. And related to this, there's something that I call the affirmation ratio.
Okay.
So we're basically looking at the number of times that you compliment your child versus the number of times that you criticize or are rebuking. So you should always ensure that you praise them more than you rebuke, because you know everyone has this emotional bank account. So each time you say something positive, each time you compliment them, you're making a deposit into that emotional bank account, and that deposit is actually making them confident. But each time you criticize, rebuke, you're making a withdrawal. So if you withdraw more than you deposit, what that's gonna mean is that the emotional bank account will be overdrawn, and when it's overdrawn, it means now there is a lack of confidence. So it's important to compliment and praise more than we criticize. Then number 3, acceptance. It's important to accept our children as they are. They are different. You know, everyone is differently gifted, but more often than not, we compare children, sometimes unconsciously. So we're like, sisi wako wanga wasingambodai so wanga wasingambondinesa nenyaya yehomework vaizviitira homework yavo vega and what we're failing to realize is that even academically they're talented differently. There are also other things that maybe the sister wasn't good at that this child that you're comparing to is good at, but you're not looking at that. So don't compare. Treat every child as a unique individual. They need to understand that they're unique, they're special in their own way. So comparing and not accepting them as who they are, that can also put a dent on their confidence. You know, in order to understand how kids feel about being compared, just think about how you feel when your children are trying to blackmail you into doing something for them, and they'll be like, every other parent atobhadharira mwana
kuti aende kutrip
ndiveke vasara. You know, the same way you feel is how they feel, because they are comparing you to someone and they're not even understanding that circumstances are very different. So it's important also to accept. And then the other thing that will help your children develop confidence is to help them set clear goals and to also set clear boundaries for them. Sometimes kids get confused because they're not too sure about what they're expected to do, what's expected of them, and they're not also too sure about what they're not supposed to do. Oftentimes I've seen maybe children in a shop, so they get into a shop and then they run around, they see all this fun toys and all, and then they're running around, they're excited, and then the parent will be like, "Iwe, uyapan," or "Anongomudonza," or "Misa aside." So now the child is confused. They didn't know that they were not allowed to do this. They tried something. Now they are pulled. So next time they get into a place, they're now no longer sure. Am I supposed to run around? Am I supposed to be just here? Am I supposed to go join the other kids to play? So they're confused. And whilst that is happening, they're actually losing their confidence. And as they grow, that same attitude will be in them. They go to a new place and they don't know. They don't have confidence to actually go and ask, okay, a simple thing like asking where the bathrooms are, a simple thing like asking where, okay, I think I'm lost, where's the room that I'm supposed to go into? They won't be able to do that because you've raised them in a way where they're too unsure. They don't know what's expected of them. They don't know the boundaries. And then the other thing here, it's important to help children embrace puberty. At the beginning of puberty or around the time that it peaks, usually there is a sudden drop in confidence because of the changes that's happening to them, be they emotional changes or physical changes. So a child who had been very confident, maybe in primary school, they go to high school, they come back, they're no longer as confident. Sometimes it's a result of the changes that have happened to them and they don't understand how to handle them, so they become confused and they're no longer as confident. So it's important to help children embrace puberty, and we do that by providing resources, providing information. When your child is informed, they are confident, even when it comes to conversations with their peers. If they know something, then they're also going to be contributing. They're also going to be arguing their cases because they're talking about something that they've been taught about, something that they're informed about. But if you had not informed your children, then this is when they become very vulnerable to even peer pressure, because everyone in their circle seems to know something that they do not know. So in the group settings, in their cliques, they just stay quiet, listening and following what everyone else is doing. So it's important to provide resources. And whilst I'm at that, if you're a parent and you've got maybe resources on puberty that you've got that you feel are really helpful and you want to share, you could also share with me, and then I share with the parents in my database, because it's important to provide children with this kind of information. I'll give my details later on. Still on this issue of embracing puberty, we need to understand that the transition between from grade 7 to Form 1 is that transition where a lot is happening in terms of puberty and their development. And this is compounded by the fact that they're moving from one school that they'd been used to a totally new environment. So during that phase, that's where you really need to be close to your children. That's where you really need to be helping them out. And in this June, we are in a month where many schools are already doing their Form 1 entrance, prep exams and interviews and all of that. So you need to be there close to your child, help them to become confident, help them to believe that they're capable, so that even when they go to write the entrance exams, even when they go for the interviews, they have confidence. Because sometimes we fail to perform, not because we are incapable, but because we are just not confident. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Maybe it was in school. You were supposed to present a poem, present something in front of everyone. You had practiced. You know you could do this. You're a good speaker. But if for a reason on that particular day where you're supposed to present, something happened and you lost your confidence,
You freeze. Yes.
Yeah, you freeze. So it's not because you're not able to, but it's just that moment you've lost your confidence. So if there is nobody close to you who's actually psyching you up, who's prepping you, then it becomes difficult to master the confidence. And then speaking about the grade 7 to Form 1 transition, let me just say this to parents. Quite a lot of times parents would then come to me, maybe after vanawatonyora mama
My
grade
entrance exams.
not entrance exams, like the grade 7 exams. So I want to go. I'm looking for a place for my child. Do you have any recommendations for good schools and all? But this is the time, this June, like maybe
To
the
start
school,
doing that.
yeah, to start doing that, and quite a number of schools, maybe next week, the week after, or end of this month, they're actually going to be having the entrance exams. They're actually going to be having the interviews, and it's important to do your things early. This will also help the child to be settled, because if you're going to do things last minute, this is when even the child will not be as confident, because you can imagine how they feel if in their class everyone else has already gotten a Form 1 place and is already excited and talking about where they're going to be going to for Form 1, and your child hasn't gotten that yet. That actually can affect their confidence. So the other thing, when it comes to entrance exams, I just thought it's important to talk about this, because confidence speaks a lot into the selection process as well. It's important to teach your children a bit of presentation skills, just the ability to speak up to be heard, just the ability to look people in the eye when they're talking to them, because this is what schools are also going to be looking at when they are interviewing your child. The ability to just give a firm handshake. These are things that your child may never learn anyway. So you need to actually teach them and practice with them. And it has to be in a fun environment. I don't know and understand where, as people, we got this idea that in order to teach something, you really need to be serious, and you need to be harsh. You need to be shouting. Kuita kunge ma instructor kuma driving school. I don't know, Gucci. If you don't shout, if you tell me nicely, I still can hear and I still can do whatever you're telling me to. So it's important to just to tell them, like, in a good way. Okay, this is how you speak. Let's practice. You laugh about it, so that when they finally go, they feel comfortable, and they at least know what to expect. So because they know what to expect, because they have practiced it, they've done this before. Maybe you have helped them to create an exam set up, and they now know, okay, so this is what happens when you're writing an exam. When they finally go, they will be able to be confident and to maybe nail the exam, nail the interview. And then the other thing, even if they've gone for the entrance exams and then they fail, how you give them feedback is also important. How they will take that failure. Just because they're rejected, let them know that it doesn't mean that you were the worst or anything. Maybe it's just that the school wanted 50 people and there was 100 of you, so they just were forced to take 50, but that doesn't mean that you were not good enough. So that feedback is important, and it will help them even in life. Should they fail, they will not then lose their confidence. So for parents of grade 7s who are about to go to Form 1, who are actually preparing for the entrance exams and all that, I actually have some important news for you. There is a program that I'm going to be running just to prepare grade 7th for that this coming Saturday. So if you're interested, please feel free to send in your name and request the details to my WhatsApp number. My WhatsApp number is 0773 606 728. 0773 606 728.
Coach Tafadzwa, it's always a pleasure having you in the studio, and thank you so much for shedding that light on how you can build your child's confidence. Seeing that a number of children, like you said, because of freeze up a stage and everything else in life as they grow up. So you can catch Coach Tafadzwa every Tuesday on Teen Zim. That's Hot Issues for Parents and Teenagers, right here on Star FM, a Morning Galaxy. Thank you so much, Coach, for joining us this morning.
You're most welcome.
We are Star FM, sounding good all the time. It's 11 and it's time for the news.
This is Zim Paper's Radio Broadcasting News.